Now we're going to be doing the Commission District 2 race, Benjamin Cross and Marcia Hovey-Wright, and District 5, Zach Lahring and David Farhat. Now, to give you a perspective of where these districts are, as you can kind of see, District 5 encompasses Fruitport, Sullivan, and Ravenna. Lost it there. And District 2 is City of Muskegon, essentially the lakefront up to, I believe, the Seaway. Is that correct? And Roosevelt Park. Okay, so we are going to get started again. Same format, same setup. May not be the same questions. We're shuffling them up again, and we'll see what happens. Okay, Zach, take it away.
Thank you. We're going to start with introductions. Each candidate is going to give a 3-minute introduction. You're going to have 3 minutes to answer the questions, a 1-minute rebuttal if you're personally attacked or the issues that you stand for are attacked, and just signal to me if you want that rebuttal. And then there's a 2-minute closing. We're going to start with you, Mr. Lahring.
Thank you. I'd like to start my comment out with a rebuttal, actually. George, you quoted Plato, and Plato was actually right. A democracy is mob rule. That's why we're a constitutional republic. So my name is Zach Lahring. I'm a husband to a beautiful wife. I have 4 daughters and 10 grandchildren. I'm 110% pro-life, constitutional conservative, and with your support, I will be the District 5 County Commissioner. Our founders had an idea about running for government. They put very few restrictions on what it would be to run for government. They had an idea that government would be run for the people, by the people, and of the people. They had no idea that we would have a generational political class. My father was a blue-collar patriot, served in World War II and Korea. My mother was a beautiful woman who was also a school teacher and raised my brother and I. I'm a superintendent for a general contractor here in Muskegon. I'm in charge of safety, manpower, scheduling, and budgets. I have a Class A CDL. And the reason I tell you that is because I frequently go through MDOT drug tests, and I have never had a positive test. I'm an owner and an operator of a small farm and a beef producer, and I have to balance my budget, pay my taxes. I've never been in trouble with the IRS. I'm a founder of a 501c3 and the president. We had chapters in Muskegon, Grand Haven, Holland, Saugatuck, Grand Rapids. That 501c3 operated for 10 years. I have never been a member of a secret society, nor have I ever participated in one. I swore an oath to the United States Constitution to defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that's why I'm running for this office. I hope to bring trust and transparency to this board and to represent my community, which is Fruitport, Ravenna, and Sullivan, in this race. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Please refrain from applause. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
Thank you. I'm Marcia Hovey-Wright, and I'm running for the 2nd District County Commission, which includes Beechwood, Bluffton, Lakeside, Glenside, Nims, Norton Shores, and Roosevelt Park, or 1 precinct in Norton Shores. I was the state representative in the 92nd District from 2011 to 2016, 6 years. In that capacity, I introduced 57 bills and resolutions, passed 4 resolutions and 2 bills. My office produced over 40 bills shared with other members of the Progressive Women's Caucus, a legislative organization that I founded to promote women's issues addressing things such as pay equity, income security, domestic violence, and reproductive rights. I was also vice chair of Families, Children, and Seniors, some of the same services that the county is responsible for. And I was on the Criminal Justice Committee, and we started some of the criminal justice reform that has occurred statewide, and I'd like to see happen here in Muskegon. I received Legislator of the Year award from National Association of Social Workers and NOW. As an education, I have a master's in social work from University of Michigan, a master's in management from Aquinas College, focusing on financial management. My career was I was a school social worker. I had a private counseling practice. I was a healthcare administrator for Blue Care Network, director of Planned Parenthood, and a Peace Corps volunteer in West Africa. Community awards that I have received include the Lifetime Achievement Award from Planned Parenthood, a True Blue Award from the 2nd Congressional District, a Liberty Bell Award from the Muskegon Bar Association, and the Women Achievement Award from MCC. Over the years, I've been involved in many organizations, including the Rotary, and I was a part of the committee that did the Love Lives Here project with the yard signs. I'm currently on the Every Woman's Place board. I was president of my neighborhood association, very involved in my church. And personally, I am recently widowed. I have 2 adult children living in Georgia and California, 3 stepchildren and 9 grandchildren. And I live at 3430 Pigeon Hill Court, and I've lived in Muskegon County my whole adult life. I love Muskegon, and I want to see it succeed in a way that is environmentally responsible, financially sound, and maximizes our wonderful resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hovey-Wright. Mr. Cross.
Good evening. My name is Ben Cross. I'm 43 years old. I'm the Muskegon County Board Chairman. I've been elected since 2010. I'm married for 20 years. I have 3 children, 18, 16, and 14, and I'm very proud of this community that I live in. I take great pride in what we have here. I'm the Vice President of Local Union 113 UAW, one of the oldest organized labor unions in this county. I represent the blue-collar workers along with everybody, but I know what it's like to go through the struggles and realize what a factory job is like. What this town was built on, blue-collar workers, factory jobs. Things are transforming into more of a tourism scene, which is great. But I'm looking forward to continuing to build this town into what it once was great, even into a better community than it was before. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We're going to start with you, Mr. Lahring, and then we're going to go in a serpentine pattern to answer the questions. The first question is going to be about millages. It's a 2-part question. What is your view on designated fund millages, such as the senior millage and the veterans millage? Do you believe these millages are effective, and would you support additional millages in the future for items such as youth millage or specialty courts?
No, I would not support future millages. And I'm not sure I can drag that out for 3 minutes. So, if my taxpayers in my community, Fruitport, Ravenna, and Sullivan, came screaming to me about a millage, that they felt that we needed something, I would support it. But I know out in my district that people are frustrated with the millages, and right now the Republican community that I support wouldn't support a millage.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
I wasn't sure what serpentine pattern meant, but okay. I think, the senior millage was one that was very popular, and I think it's going to be very effective once we get past, now that we're past that first year where some of the money was spent on the nursing home. But things like specialty courts are very effective, but whether a millage is put forward, it depends on the people and the voters, and if that's what they want and that's what they value. So I guess I would say, I would agree with Ken Mahoney that, this is something that we don't support or not support, but we as the county commission, but the voters need to need to decide if that's something they'll support. And the millage that the family court millage was not well done, and it did not create trust about millages. So because people didn't think the money would be spent, that there'd be a little shell game, and that there wouldn't be additional money for the courts or for the family court. So I think trust has to be restored first before anything is considered for a millage. And so that would be my position. And specialty courts I do value, so I would personally support it, but that's something that has to be decided by the voters.
Mr. Cross.
As you've already heard the voters are the ones that decide on the millage. All we do is bring the language, or the language gets brought to us and we present it to the public. They're the ones that vote on the millage, or decide whether the millage is, decide whether the millage is going to go forward. As far as the specialty courts, absolutely, they're great programs. They've helped a lot of individuals, and I think they need to continue to build on them. And I think personally, yes, I would vote and support in favor of these millages, but again, that's up to the voting public, not the county commission.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. We're going to start with you now, Mr. Cross. Will you please speak into the microphone a little more? The next is about the jail and finances, and deals with the county budget. What are your views on both the financing of the jail and the unfunded pension liabilities?
First, the financing of the jail, as it was mentioned earlier, it was bad timing, right when Detroit went into bankruptcy. So, of course, we didn't get the rates that we wanted, as it was already excuse me. As it was already mentioned, we did refinance the jail. We have a steady payment that we can budget and continue to move forward, as stated earlier, until it's paid off. It's something that we needed. The old one was falling down. Quite frankly, it was inhumane. I cannot believe there was even anybody in there. When I first got elected to win in that place, it make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It was unbelievable. So, and sorry, what was the other question?
The unfunded pension liabilities currently by the county.
Well, again, I wouldn't say the pension is unfunded. It's at 66%. Most of the municipalities within the state of Michigan are roughly right around the same area. And again, I keep hearing this $96 million loan, if you will. No one ever said we were going to have a $96 million loan. We had a work session on the potential of a $96 million, I shouldn't say loan, I should say a bond. And as just late the other day in our commission meeting on Tuesday, we directed staff to seek alternate solutions to help fund that liability. There's more than just one avenue. There's a lot of different scenarios. So,
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
Yes, regarding the jail, a vote was put to the public, I think 4 times, and they turned it down 4 times. I know enough people involved in that we really needed a bigger jail. Not as big as they built, but we needed a bigger jail than what we had. I was glad to learn that the financing was renegotiated so we have even payments rather than the balloon payment, because that would have killed us. It's something we can't take back. It's there. We have to deal with it. So let's make it work for the budget that we have and make the payments even, and that's already happened. So as far as the unfunded pension, back in February, the Bridge magazine published an article. That's a highly respected magazine. And we were rated, the Muskegon County Pension Fund was rated 78th out of 83 counties, the bottom of the barrel. Why wasn't something done sooner? I don't understand that. It was let go for too long. Maybe they didn't know, but they should have known. That is a serious problem, and it needs to be top of the list in terms of what I would choose to address, because this is a liability that is serious, and we may be funded at 66%, but that puts us at, the bottom of all the counties in the state, and even Western Michigan counties all do better than we do. So I think that needs to be acknowledged and taken on as a top priority.
Thank you, Ms. Hovey-Wright. Mr. Lahring.
So my view of the jail is it should not have been built. It should have went before the voters in a millage if that's what the community wanted, or it shouldn't have been built. You don't build something if you don't get a good interest rate and the math doesn't make sense. You hold off until you get a better interest rate and it makes sense. As far as the unfunded liabilities, they're way over $60 million. They're $180 million, including the employee pension plan and the employee health plan. Those are guarantees that we owe the city employees. We have to figure out a way to pay them off. And I'm going to use the rest of my time to read a letter that was sent to the board from the administrator. And I'm on page 72 of this letter. It's the 5-year fiscal forecast. It says, in an effort in improving the county's financial outlook, the county board contracted with a consultant to prepare a 5-year financial forecast. Further down in that same paragraph, the result of the consultant's forecast revealed that the general outlook for the Muskegon County General Fund for the next 5 years is unsustainable. The report shows overall revenues are expected to remain fairly stagnant, increasing only 4% per year. Expenditures, however, are to increase significantly due primarily to the jail debt service obligations and pension contributions. The forecast revealed that the consent disparity between the revenues and the expenditures will result in a depletion of the general fund by fiscal year 2019 and reach a negative $38 million by fiscal year 2022.
Nothing's changed.
So, no, the jail should not have been built, and they maybe should have thought of another source like Joe Arpaio had for the inmates.
Like what?
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. We're going to start with you this time, Mr. Lahring. We're going to move on to senior issues. With the closure of the Brookhaven Medical Facility, what county services can seniors anticipate to address their needs?
So there's two views of government. Some people, actually there's probably more than that. Some people view the government as a safety net. If you want to see a good trapeze show, you go where there's no safety net. Nobody wants to see the trapeze artist with a safety net. So government is not designed to be the safety net. It's up to the private industry, the churches, and the nonprofits in the community to provide for the social well-being of our community. I would not support further millage to pass along to our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
Would you repeat the question?
For sure. And once again, all the questions are in front of you, but with the closure of the Brookhaven County Medical Facility, what county services can seniors anticipate to address their needs?
One of the things that I'm going to do as county commissioner is to make sure that the millage, the senior millage money that we voted on is spent on additional services. I was very concerned when the money was used to pay off the Brookhaven debt. I'm not sure they could do anything else at that point, but that took $1.7 million from that first year of funding. So going forward, we need to make sure that those services, that millage money goes for additional services like Meals on Wheels, some of the things that were mentioned earlier that are provided at Senior Resources. We are so lucky to have that program in Muskegon. They have exercise classes. You can have a really inexpensive dinner. They have transportation to transport people from their homes to be socialized. There's so many things I can't name them all. And so we need to make sure that money that we voted on is spent on additional services, not on past debts. Me personally, I recently moved from downtown historic home to near Pier Marquette. And the reason we moved is because we needed a house. My husband was ill, and we needed a house that had all the key things like bedroom and living space and kitchen and office area and laundry on one level. There wasn't one thing downtown with all the new developments that had that, unless you wanted to go to an apartment. So I keep advocating for all the new housing that's being proposed that be oriented for seniors or usable for seniors. Over the years, as a state representative, I have presented at the Senior Resources Center the legislation that affected seniors a couple times a year usually. So I have a great relationship with all the people that are leaders in that department, but the senior resources. So I plan on staying in close touch with them to be clear on what the needs are of seniors that are not being addressed. And I am a senior, so I have firsthand experience.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Mr. Cross?
Zach, could you please repeat the question?
Yes. With the closure of the Brookhaven County Medical Facility, what county services can seniors anticipate to address their needs?
With the closure of Brookhaven, I don't think that addressed or that service was required for the majority of the seniors in this community. We did pass a senior millage, and regardless of what you're hearing or being told, the services have expanded to the outlying areas, even greater now today than what they were last week or last month or especially last year. So with the Meals on Wheels, the congregate meals at the churches or at the neighborhood centers or what have you, the community centers. So the biggest issue with the seniors right now is the transportation. They need transportation to get to and from their doctors. So that had nothing to do with Brookhaven. I mean, Brookhaven was a senior or a nursing home, long-term care facility that then people didn't leave anyway. I mean, so I guess to equate the senior millage to the Brookhaven, I think you're being misled or falsely, I guess, presented, we'll say that, because quite frankly, the money that was used at Brookhaven from that senior millage was to pay for services that were provided to them residents. Unfortunately, they lived in Brookhaven. I don't think we should discriminate against them because where they live, the services are still the same.
Thank you. Mr. Cross, you're going to get the first question here. It has to do with area-wide development, and we see a lot of development currently happening in downtown Muskegon, which has been absolutely wonderful, but it seems like the outlying areas are sometimes forgotten. What ideas and programs do you have in mind to ensure that economic and community development happens in all parts of the county?
Well, again, as you've already heard, there's over $1 billion of development going on in Muskegon County right now. A large majority of that is downtown. Arconic up in the Whitehall, Montague area is just expanded up there with 50 some jobs. The wastewater has an expansion program going on out there right now that is still not quite developed all the way, that has the potential for future jobs. We're working right now with neighboring communities to make connections with neighboring communities for different services that will provide additional jobs in the outlying areas for hookup reasons. So I think our economic development is widely spread throughout the county, and quite frankly, I think we're doing a wonderful job. We have a wonderful economic development coordinator in the county. I mean, the guy is a champion. He's doing a tremendous job, and K&L Outdoors moved their world headquarters from Canada to Muskegon, downtown Muskegon. I think that's pretty awesome. And now they're talking already in the process of expansion right here in our town to offer jobs to our residents.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ms. Wright.
Yes, I was glad to be reminded of all the development in some of the other areas of the county besides downtown. Downtown is, of course, very exciting. But the developments that are occurring in the second district are huge. One is, of course, is Windward Point, the old Sappy property. And they did include some community input. I think more might be needed. The plan includes canals, which people are kind of excited about, and mixed-use development, which I think will work there. There are currently cinder piles that are causing problems with the neighbors when there's high winds, but those will be gone, I'm told, by September. So I'm a member of the Planning Commission, and we will make sure that that development is done right, and that we don't overbuild, and that includes lots of cool things like, bike trails and walking trails and kayak input places, etc. Another area that should be developed in the near future as well, or I expect will be, is Damfino, the dunes near where I live. The DEQ, I expect they will be approving building the road over the critical dune. They have approved everything I've ever, every project that I've ever seen in my years in government. So I don't think that, I think we've got to deal with that development. We can't stop it, but I think we can try to make it the best it can be. And that includes, again, bike trails, walking trails, public access. There's a beach there that could be used by more people. The plan is to build 200 homes. Now, I don't know if that's the right number, but because I don't know how much land goes around a normal house, but they plan to have it be a mixed price range and size. So it will be, some will be quite affordable, others will be less so. My concern is density and traffic. As you know, the beach has high traffic area. We have lots of accidents at that corner of Beach Street and Lakeshore. So fortunately, I know that there's a plan in process to have a turnabout where Sherman Beach and Laketon, or Lakeside, come together, and that will help with that traffic flow and the accident. Again, the plan is for a canal format, and the traffic, of course, would be an issue if any other entrance was planned. So,
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
stay tuned.
Mr. Lahring.
So my view is fundamentally different. I don't believe it's the government's job to build these projects. The government's job is to get out of the way. We need to limit the drain commissioner in my area or get rid of her, and I will use whatever sources that I can as county commissioner to limit her. The second thing is my area is not feeling the development impact out. We're mostly farm community. We grow a lot of blueberries, cattle, and corn. We also have Fruitport, which is not seeing the economic development that some of the other areas in town. So what I believe will impact the community and developers will move in is if we get our unsustainable debt paid off, if we take care of our county employees that have these pension plans, we need to get those covered. And when businesses see that Muskegon County is a viable county, they'll move here. We don't need to prompt them with tax dollars. They'll move here just because they see the economic interest of our community. Thank you.
I'll allow for a rebuttal from Ms. Wright. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, just a correction. Both the Windward Point development and the Damfino development are private developers. There's no money, from the county or anyplace else that's helping with that.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring and Ms. Wright. All right, we're going to start with you, Mr. Lahring, on this next question. It has to do with a broader topic in the county budget. What is your opinion on the current county budget? What would you do to cut costs and/or increase revenues?
I would cut costs by cutting some of the services that are currently provided. I would tighten the belt of all of the agencies under the county's administration. In the construction industry, we have a kind of a theme that you better sharpen your pencil because everything's competitively bid. And sometimes some of the services the county provide, it's cheaper to subcontract them out. As a general contractor, we don't provide all the services ourselves. We find it cheaper to subcontract them out to others. So what I would try to do is to limit the amount of the budgets in each one of agencies under our control, and I would not be in favor of raising any revenues through a tax base. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
Thank you. In my experience, I've had some experience with budgets over the years, these are some of the things I've learned. Make sure the revenues are real, that the expenses are researched and accurate, and that they include meaningful oversight and deal honestly with the liabilities. When I say meaningful oversight, I mean things like building a jail, make sure that they're doing it right, that they're not, take some precautions to prevent overruns in the contract. In terms of new revenues, I think that it would be useful for the county to go through a strategic planning process to explore ideas from other states, other counties for new revenue sources. Some ideas I had would include development of renewable energy generation at the wastewater treatment facility and perhaps some of the land bank properties, which we have lots of. Another, which was part of the deal for the jail, was to rent out some of the cells to the state and federal. But unfortunately, we filled it right up. So we need to address that. We need to scrutinize outside contractors. The county got in some trouble with IT, I believe. So all county budget projects, I think we need to be very watchful of those and protect against cost overruns. We need to assure that the budget is truly balanced with real revenue, not, well, never mind. And I think we need to really look at finding uses for the numerous county land bank properties that generate revenue. When I saw the map, I was just astounded at how much land the county owned from properties that were torn down and particularly the industrial properties. So those are my ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hovey-Wright. Mr. Cross.
Thanks. I just want to let you know, in 2001, the County of Muskegon's revenue sharing from the state level has not changed since 2001. We are living in 2018 with a 2001 cost share revenue. Just for instance, in this District 2, City of Muskegon, $18,725,200 $725,261. They've been shorted. Norton Shores, $6,889,000. Roosevelt Park, $1,310,000. I mean, we hear about all these different ways that we can do all this, but unfortunately, I mean, half of the time, we're talking about balanced budgets. You were in Lansing balancing your budget, not balancing our budget. So how worried were you about Muskegon County? I mean, and you speak of renewable energy? Absolutely. We got all kinds of renewable energy going on out at the wastewater, getting ready to launch. There's talks at the airport. I mean, where have you been? I'm done, yeah.
Oh, you're not done?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I'll give a minute for Ms. Hovey-Wright to rebuttal.
Okay. I need to explain a little bit about the realities of Lansing. I was in the minority. I was a Democrat in the minority. We didn't have the House, the Senate, or the governor. The ruling party could do whatever they wanted, and I wasn't on appropriations. We voted for or against, mostly against every budget that came through. We did everything we had the power to do. None of us on the Democratic side wanted revenue. I mean, we didn't want revenue sharing to be cut. We had no control over that. So, and we fought and we spoke out and spoke on from the lectern and participated in the appropriations meetings. But, you know, when you don't have the power, you can't make it happen.
You cannot rebuttal, but you get 3 minutes this next time. And we're going to start with you, Mr. Cross. So the topic is infrastructure. Infrastructure, including, as Mr. Mahoney said, broadband, roads, bridges, and parks, including the Muskegon County Memorial Park on the Causeway, appears to be deteriorating. How will you, as a commissioner, work to address these issues that affect us all?
As far as infrastructure goes, the roads and the bridges, as you've already heard, the majority of the roads are controlled by Muskegon County Road Commission, MDOT, and of course we'll continue to work closely with them to try to make sure these projects get attention, make sure they get done. As far as Veterans Memorial Park out there, again, that has zero to do with this County Board of Commissioners. The county owns the land. The city of Muskegon maintains the south end, and North Muskegon maintains the north end. And as you've already heard, this was a NOAA federal grant that was for rehabilitation of the natural state, I believe that's what they called it. And the biggest concern is right now, and especially not so much in District 2, but in the outlying areas, is the broadband service, because quite honestly, it is costing the county revenues from different industries and homeowners from moving in here. But back to my original point here, again, in 2010, I got elected to this county commission, the same as Marcia did in Lansing. Never once did you come into the county and tell us about this issues that we were having, or you were having rather, in Lansing. None of the elected officials heard anything from you. Nobody has. And quite frankly, right now, I mean, we've heard all these stuff. We've heard this stuff in 2016, the same attacks on how we're doing this wrong, how we're doing that wrong. The same stuff. I mean, you guys went on, the state legislators goes on summer break. They have time off for deer hunting. County don't have that time off. We're there every week. I mean, so as far as you being in the minority, you could have stopped down and said so, what was going on.
Ms. Hovey, right? Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Yes. Okay, I'll start with the Causeway. I had a conversation with Kathy Evans, who's, I think, in charge of that project. And what she told me is that because of the flood levels that we have now, they had to stop their activity, and they can't resume it until the water levels go down. So the orange fencing is temporary. It's there to hold the vegetation. That will go away as well. So we just have to have patience, and we don't have control over the lake levels, unfortunately. As far as infrastructure, the attacks from my opponent, Mr. Cross, the county board meetings are on Tuesdays. We are in Lansing in session on Tuesdays. I did attend, and I could have attended some county meetings, but, well, I won't say. I attended, if any of you who live in the townships or city of Muskegon or Muskegon Heights, I attended many of those meetings. I just didn't attend the county meetings, but I got a sense of what was going on and what was needed and what their concerns were from my predecessors didn't do that. I attended, North Muskegon, Muskegon Heights, Laketon Township, Fruitland Township, and Whitehall Township. So, you can't possibly do them all every month, but I certainly had a pulse on what their concerns were and their needs. And I didn't think that you had to be told that we couldn't increase the revenue sharing money. That's sort of a given, but.
We're going to go with Mr. Lahring to answer the question, and I'll give you a rebuttal, Mr. Cross.
The Causeway, the Veterans Memorial Park, as far as infrastructure, if that's the county's property and they've damaged that property, we need to go after either the contractor, the engineers. If they haven't damaged the property, whoever applied for the grant needs to go after and take care of that problem. That doesn't necessarily alleviate the county from the responsibility if we own the property. We have to make sure we're not damaging surrounding property. As far as giving it or letting them lease it for that purpose, that probably should have been a voter's decision. As far as infrastructure is concerned right now in our state, the concrete industry and the blacktop industry lobby groups have control of how our roads are built. We need to look at alternative sources for building our roads. There's a better way to build these roads, to continue to chip seal our roads year after year. Every 2 years we're chip sealing roads out in my district, and there's nothing underneath them. They're just falling apart. So we need some new engineering ideas on how to fix these roads. I live on a dead-end gravel road that my neighbors and farmers take care of themselves because the county won't take care of it. And my district is different than some of the other districts in town. We feel that the road commission doesn't spend adequate time out in Ravenna, Sullivan, and Fruitport areas. And we need to appoint a commissioner to the board of the road commission, which is separate than the county commissioners. But we need to appoint a strong leader in that area to get the county road commission to fulfill our obligations to our citizens. The townships are paying an undue burden to fix those roads. Those roads are controlled by the county. They're getting state funds to take care of them, and they need to be made or held to task to do that. I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Mr. Cross had a rebuttal first.
I forgot to mention, I have been attending county commission meetings since November, every month. I did not attend in December. I was visiting my grandchildren, but every month since then, I've been to at least one county commission meeting to try and be better informed about, or well informed about county business.
All right, we're going to move on to tax breaks and tax incentives. Community development continues to be a major concern in our competitive economic environment. As a county commissioner, what ideas or programs would you propose or support to attract business and industry to our county? Would these initiatives include the use of tax breaks or tax holidays to attract businesses? Mr. Lahring, you go first.
Another one of those questions I don't think I can drag out for 3 minutes. No, I would not use tax dollars to incentivize businesses to move here. I would focus on making this county economically sustainable, take care of our budget, and businesses won't need to move here because of a tax incentive. This county can be a go-to place for businesses if we take care of our budget. So the primary focus would become to take care of our budget in this county, get the unfunded liabilities paid off, and we'll have businesses coming here just because of it's a great place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lahring. Ms. Hovey-Wright.
Yeah, as far as tax breaks go, I know that's kind of a tool that the economic development people use, but I think that if there are any, I'm not a real fan of them, but if you use tax breaks, I think they should be of a very short period of time, because our entities are in need of funds, and we can't be giving it away to anybody who wants to come here. I think a more valuable incentive would be training skilled workers. That's what you hear everywhere, that we do not have trained, adequately trained workers. So I know the college is working very hard on that. I know the guy who's responsible for that, but matching industry needs with skills and offerings at community college. And I know that's already started, and I hope that is continued and expanded.
Mr. Cross.
Well, I agree with Marcia. That is our biggest hurdle, is our workforce. I mean, we definitely need the skilled workforce. I mean, sometimes there's programs that are the different industries or manufacturers need to a little jump start, a little boost, if you will, but definitely our aging workforce right here in this county is you know, that's an issue that we have, that we've been dealing with, even at the place I work at right now. I mean, we don't have any younger workers coming up through skilled trades such as, electricians, millwrights, machine repairmen, stuff like that. And right now with the expansion of the community college right down here in this building, it provides an opportunity for the local businesses to partnership with the college here and hopefully train some of the folks that are left right here, younger or older, to, get a higher skill and they can earn a better living.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. And we're gonna move to conclusions now, and we're gonna start with you, Mr. Cross. You get a 2-minute conclusion, and we'll move down the line.
Okay, thank you for your time. Like, as I said, I've been a county commissioner for 8 years, and I would like to continue to move forward. I've seen a lot of good things happen in these 8 years, and I think Muskegon County is on the right track. And it's an honor to represent the people of this community, and I look forward to continue to do it in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ms. Hovey Wright.
Thank you. I am asking for your vote, Marcia Hovey Wright, for County Commission District 2. That is based on my experience in the legislature, my educational and career background, my strong involvement in the community, and my life of public service and my strong work ethic. I think I can do a better job than my opponent. Last August, the financial report referenced by person to my right, a financial expert estimated that the general fund would reach $38 million by 2022 unless changes were made. My opponent has been in office for 7.5 years, during which that debt has accumulated. Thanks to the county administrator, half of the proposed changes are in place, accomplished in the past few months. Secondly, in February, as I mentioned before, Bridge Magazine rated our county's pension deficit at 78 out of 83 counties, the bottom of the barrel. Now, I know some efforts have been made to address this huge liability, but apparently not enough. I am not afraid to ask questions, and I will ask a lot of them about the progress on these problems. That is my top priority. I am dedicated to encouraging more constituent involvement in county government so residents understand Muskegon's challenges and needs and participate in the process. And I will do this through printed agendas, town halls on key issues, and maybe even newsletters, e-newsletters, and more transparent decision-making. The county must do strategic planning to find creative solutions of increasing revenue and reducing expenses, as I have outlined earlier. I want to assure smart development, not overdevelopment, of the Damfino and Windward Point properties.
Thank you, Ms. Hovey Wright.
And I want Muskegon to thrive, not just survive.
Mr. Lahring.
So I'm asking for your vote. And the reason I'm asking for your vote is this idea of public service is actually a paid position. It's a job, and it pays fairly well for a part-time job. It also has medical benefits. It has a pension plan. So I'm asking for your vote to give me a job to do. I work very hard. I work 2 jobs right now, a farm and a construction superintendent. I'll have to go down to part-time work to be able to achieve this. What I would like to say is my #1 goal, if you're willing to elect me, is I want to remove Planned Parenthood from the Muskegon County Health Department. Right now, they're our Title X provider. They have a sweetheart deal offered to them by the board. They pay a $375 per quarter for their lease agreement in the Muskegon County Health Department. That will be the first thing that I'll do on the board, is try to get rid of them out of the county health department. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the candidates who came, and thank Muskegon Community College for hosting this event. Can we get a round of applause for everyone that attended?